All right, and we are recording. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is November. God, it's November already. This is November. We were recording on November 2nd. And Pat here got a beautiful extra hour of sleep for his beauty sleep that he needs every night. Yes, yes. Which
Trust
I
me,
can
any hour of sleep that I can get additionally is very precious.
listen.
This is the curse of someone who has sleep issues.
Yes, very true, very true. I just hate the time change. I think it sucks. Just need to keep it the way it is. The hell with all the kids going to school because no matter if you go forward or backward, there's going to be some point in their school day that they will be going to school in the dark. So it really makes zero fucking sense to me, honestly.
Yeah, it's like it's always going to be that way. It's like if we go to standard time permanently, or if we were to go to what is daylight savings time permanently, there's still always going to be a time frame where somebody's going to have a complaint about something, and it's like, well, yeah, unfortunately, we can't really change the orbit of the Earth.
Yeah. Like which one's more efficient? I'd rather have more sunlight during the day than less sunlight. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I am of that opinion as well, which is why I have been in favor of switching to daylight savings time permanently. I just would prefer it to be lighter later. Um, yeah, because it's like let me check the old weather app here now.
Oh, yes.
This is the problem with the time switch. It's like I think it's easier to adjust to the time switch when you lose the hour of sleep when we spring ahead,
Yes.
honestly, than when we fall back because just because I think the light, like you said, like the daylight is out longer, you still probably have to think, oh, right, it's actually 7 o'clock right now, not six. I think it's harder to adjust to when it gets all of a sudden it's darker an hour earlier. It's like think of how it might affect your like daily commute and shit like that, depending upon what your job is. But
Oh, yeah. And one of the things too, like, and like, oh, the kids at the bus stops. Well, let me tell you something. Starting tomorrow, my son will have daylight at his bus stop because he's a high schooler, so he goes to school um earlier than all the others, elementary and middle school, of course. But that's only going to last for like 2 weeks, three
yeah,
weeks tops. And then it
yeah.
goes right back to being dark for him when he goes to the bus stop. So what we're doing this for the kids for an extra 2.5 weeks of sunlight that makes zero sense.
Yeah. Now,
And that's
and
only for high school kids, to be honest with you, because the middle school and the elementary kids, they're fine. They're getting sunlight. They're getting some light when they're going to the bus stop. So it really makes no sense to me.
yeah, I remembered that I was just complaints as concerns about kids going to the bus stop in the dark, and because obviously we can't trust anybody. You don't ever know if there could be predators out there picking kids up off the street, which
Well,
I
of
didn't want to
course.
think about that. That's such a horrible thing to even have to contemplate, and I understand it can happen, but I have a feeling it's one of these other things that there's more of a scare about it than there is actual incidents of it happening. But I was also spoiled when I was a kid because from second grade to eighth grade, when I moved to, because second grade is when I first moved to Pennsylvania, the bus basically picked up right in front of my house, essentially. That's really where the bus stop was. So I never had to walk very far. Ninth grade, my sister was a senior in high school, so she had to drive me to school every day. Yeah. Uh,
There you
12th
go.
grade, 12th grade, I drove to school every day. 10th and 11th grade were the only grades where I really had to worry about that. And because I had to walk to the end of our street, which was roughly a quarter of a mile,
Yeah,
maybe.
probably.
Um, so yeah, so like again, it could be like dark, but I knew that street so well by that point too that I wasn't really concerned that I knew what kind of traffic there was on that street. And really the only kind of traffic there was on that street were like people like coming down from like Bangor, Mount Bethel, Washington Township, driving down Route 191, then using our road to cross over to the Route 33 interchange in Belfast. So, um,
Okay.
it's like it wasn't ever like a busy road, so I was never really concerned about shit like that. Again, I can understand where there's a concern, but
Yeah.
so anyway, I was saying sunset today is 4:57 p.m.
That's just fucking insane. That just
So for me, I got to look at it like this. I have like my sunglasses, and then I have my cloudy slash night glasses that I wear to help deflect glare from lights and also to make things brighter when it's cloudy outside during the day.
yeah.
So pretty much I have to, like, let's say the sun's out tomorrow morning, I'll have to pretty much bring both pairs of glasses with me. And I know this is such a first world problem. But no, I'm just saying, because if it's going to start getting dark and everything, people's lights are going to be on. Even driving on 78, it's going to bother my eyes, and my eyes are definitely getting more sensitive here as I'm getting older. So it's just something I just have to make sure of, because, and now for like the next month and a half until it gets to the winter solstice, where the days are literally getting shorter, the sunset's going to keep getting earlier.
Yeah.
The sun's going to be setting while I'm driving home slash leaving to go home,
Oh
because
yeah.
we're going to get to like what? Well, hold on, let me see.
So sunset today for us is 5:18 in North Carolina.
Yeah, so that means I'm obviously further east than you.
Yeah.
Um, no, I don't want the sunset for today.
It just sucks because like, you know, my work day is till 5, but nonetheless, it doesn't make a difference. My work day is till 5 or 6. It just sucks to walk out of work and it to be dark. Like
4:38 will be sunset on the winter solstice where I am. But of course that's also a Sunday.
that's still though, that should like God.
But yeah, so it's like, so, and then um
Gotta get stuff during the day. You gotta get everything done like before 4 o'clock or 3:30 the latest to have sunlight to do stuff. You know what I mean?
right, and even say like January 21st, sunsets at 5:06. That's still when I'm usually driving home. So it's like, for the next 2, 3 months I have to worry about driving home in the dark, which I don't trust people that drive around here. I'm guilty of it too. I go faster on 78 than what the posted speed limit is too. You
Well, I
not
mean, yeah,
have to, unless you want to be stuck behind tractor trailers all the time.
that
It's
is
like,
true.
you're going to go the speed limit, you're going to get stuck behind tractor trailers because you're not going to be able to move into the passing lanes because there're going to be people going faster than you. So it's almost like a necessity thing. But I also feel like I drive safely when I drive fast, because I don't drive that close to somebody. I will slow down before I get that close to somebody. The only time I'm ever like getting real close to somebody on 78 is when we're in like bumper to bumper traffic.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I feel that I am as safe as you can be for driving over the speed limit. So,
Yeah.
yes, I understand that driving over the speed limit is inherently not safe. Uh,
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's millions of us who do it. Too
I've always
guilty.
looked at it like, the speed limit's a suggestion.
Oh yeah, yeah. Suggestion. Tell the cops that.
Well, and again, here's the other thing too. Driving on, and you know this from living here, driving on Route 78, Route 22, and to a certain extent Route 33, in here in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania, you can be going 20 miles over the speed limit. There will always be somebody going faster than you.
Of course. And honestly, that is down here. That is Highway 40. Highway 40. Every morning when I wake
I've
up,
been on 40. Yep.
every morning when I wake up and look at the traffic, I'm like, well, is there an accident on 40 today? And it's like 9 out of 10 times there's an accident somewhere on 40 at some time during the day, and sometimes there's multiple. That is a highway where the speed limit's like 70 and people do 90. It is
Hmm.
insane. And there's parts of that highway where it's most of it's 3 lanes. I think there's a section where it's 4 lanes for a quarter of a mile or half a mile. It goes back down to three, whatever, because of all the interchanging connections and all that jazz. But yeah, 40 is horrific when it comes to driving. It's bad.
Yeah, I've never driven on 40. I've been on 40, as like a passenger, like when we uh because when we used to go to the beach in North Carolina, Ocean Isle Beach, that's down there
Okay.
Brunswick County. It's like, almost to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And also when like a couple times we drove to like Wilmington because my sister went to college in Wilmington. So you're going on 95 south into Carolina until you get to 40, and then you got to go onto 40 to go down to Wilmington and the Brunswick County beaches. So I've been on 40 plenty of times, just never drove it.
Yeah. It's a raceway. And people are driving fast in cars they should not be driving fast in. I'm like, your car should not be going that fast, people.
Yeah. I mean, I remember years ago seeing a letter to the editor. Uh, Shit, what had to have been in the Express Times still, where somebody was saying like, I just watched a documentary on the Autobahn, and they stressed about how the Autobahn is the only road in the entire world that does not have a speed limit. And then the guy was like, because I'm pretty sure it was a guy, and not a woman. The guy was like, obviously, the makers of this documentary have never driven on routes 22 or 78 because, as anybody who lives around here knows, there are no speed limits on those roads.
Pretty much. There really isn't. It's crazy.
I mean,
Uh,
luckily, I haven't run into too many accidents since I've been having to drive 78 regularly for the last like 2 years here now.
okay.
Um, since I started at the place where I was only there for about a year until I was in my current job. Um, Yeah, I really haven't run into that many accidents, luckily, but there's always the slow spots, and they're still doing construction on the part of 78 between the Hellertown exit and the Route 33 exit. So that can still back up for a ways. It hasn't been as bad lately, and I'm really hoping they're going to be close to finish with that. I know they've switched which lane they're doing.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that it's like one of those things where like we need to have it done by winter because I'm like, yeah, I don't think you want to be tearing up and like kind of like replacing this bridge,
No, not in wintertime.
so
Not with that shitty weather up there. No.
I mean, like I know traffic can slow down there anyway because again, it is still good. Even once it's like reopened and everything, it is still going up that huge steep hill, and people just forget that you have to accelerate to go up the hill and blah blah blah. But it hasn't been as bad as it has been sometimes, and it's like thank God for GPS and Maps apps and everything that where I can literally get to my car every day and go boop boop boop. Show me my route. Is there any
Lead,
traffic on it? Yay, nay.
lead
So,
me home, please.
yeah.
Guide me into the direction I need to go.
What's the fastest way for me to get home right now from this place?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, the time change. It sucks. I've always hated it. I like they can give all the reasons they want about agriculture, energy saving, blah 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 blah. But as I do more research on it, it's the significance of the benefits are very minimal. So
Yeah. Yeah. John Oliver had a segment about it
yes,
years ago now on his HBO show.
I remember seeing that one. I don't remember all of it, but I remember seeing it.
You can find it on YouTube. Yeah. Daylight saving time. How is this still a thing? Last week, with John Oliver, 10 years ago now that segment aired. And they discussed some of the things where it was like, where they had like, they were playing like snippets of like, like man on the street interviews with various people who were under the misconception, as it turns out, that it was done for farming, like you said, you mentioned agriculture. That like it was like a thing. It was like, oh, so they could be out later and be planting later and harvesting later and this, that, and the other thing. And then like they said, no, that's not actually true, and farmers don't give a shit and really want nothing to do with it and blah blah blah. And they mentioned energy savings, and they said, does it really matter when you're doing all this stuff anyway? One of the things I think they mentioned was like they were showing like a woman like scrolling on her phone, and it said something about like like relentlessly scrolling through your ex's photos or something on social media. So yeah, they were basically saying that like all the reasons I think that we've ever been told for why we have it are dumb.
And you know
So
what? There was something where this was brought up on the news the other day. Or was it in the 60s? We reverted back for a couple years and they said it wasn't working. So we went back to doing the time flips. Yeah, it wasn't working. Why? Why wasn't it working? I think it was
yeah,
working. They just made up an excuse why it wasn't working and made us go back to doing it. So stupid. But hey, it seems like, states can not participate. I mean, Arizona doesn't participate.
Yes.
And what's the other one? Arizona, isn't it Hawaii?
Well, let me look it up because I think we've talked about this before, but
It's been a
probably
long
talked about it the
time.
last time we went through this shit. So, who does not
I think there's,
recognize DST in USA? I guess that's the best way to say it.
wasn't it Indiana? I think two parts of Indiana didn't recognize it either. I know.
All right. Your procedures. All right. Local DST observance. I'm on Wikipedia just because it's quick and easy.
Gotcha. Good old wiki. Wiki.
Well, actually, hold on. This isn't explaining it so nice and easily. Well, I'm going to use the AI overview. Hawaii, most of Arizona, American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands do not observe daylight saving time.
I knew Puerto Rico didn't.
Arizona's exception is the Navajo Nation, which does follow daylight saving time. The other states and territories are primarily in tropical or near tropical regions where daylight hours do not vary significantly throughout the year. So, kind of makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
now,
So Hawaii and Arizona, pretty
most of
much,
Arizona.
except for that little small part, but pretty much the whole state of Arizona, besides that little area.
So it says Indiana only adopted daylight savings time beginning in 2006, and this was the point I was going to get to. Um, when I was at Notre Dame, this would have been from 1999 to 2001.
Mm.
Um, the northern part of Indiana, there where South Bend and therefore Notre Dame is, did not recognize daylight savings time.
Yep, I
Um,
remember that.
so it was very strange too because it was like, yeah, like the first time I ever visited there, like after, well, like this would have been in the summer of 1998 when we went out there to like for like vacation. We were spending the week with my aunt and uncle who had moved out there. We got there so late the day we got held up by some traffic and everything. So we got there at like 9 o'clock, for as far as I was concerned. And they were talking about ordering dinner and ordering pizza and everything. And I was starting, and then why are we eating pizza this late? And then they had to explain to me it's only 8 o'clock right now. Enough for this. I was just tired from being in the car all day and everything. But yeah, so when it's daylight savings time, even though that part of Indiana is still Eastern time zone, they're still on Eastern Standard Time. Or another way of being able to say it, I guess, would be that they were really on Central Daylight Time then. So what was confusing about it though too is the TV stations were on daylight savings time, even though some of them broadcast out of South Bend. It was really weird. Um,
Oh, it's definitely confusing.
Yeah. So okay, so like you wanted to watch Raw, you had to remember that it came on at 8 o'clock, not 9 o'clock, because that's when Raw was 9 to 11. Um, and then Nitro would have still been on. So Nitro
Mhm.
was on at 7 instead of 8. Friends was on at 7 instead of 8. Jeopardy was on at 6 instead of 7. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I gotcha.
The NFL games started at noon and 3 until daylight savings
Oh,
time ended. You know,
yeah.
all so you always just had to remember that shit, and it could be a little frustrating to kind of adapt to. But I guess I'm going to consult Wikipedia here. But from 1970 until this is Wikipedia about Indiana. From 1970 until 2006, most of Indiana in the Eastern Time Zone did not observe daylight savings time, but the entire state started to do so in April 2006 after 8 counties in Western Indiana were shifted from the Central Time Zone to the Eastern Time Zone. One goal for observing daylight savings time was to get more Indiana counties observing the same time zone.
Mm.
Because that is one of those states where, yeah, I think where the time zone starts to split and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like I never remember like where exactly the time zone splits are in relation to like when it like intersects in states and stuff. You know,
Yeah, true.
it's like where's Central Time? Where does the Central Time Zone end and the Mountain Time Zone begin? Your example, and then like where does the Mountain Time Zone end and the Pacific Time Zone begin for some? So just it's kind of a I know there's maps out there that you can look it up, but it's kind of a bitch to just try to remember. Like
Yeah.
like Phoenix. I was like, is Phoenix Mountain Time or Arizona or Pacific Time? I was trying to remember.
West Coast.
Yeah, and like Vegas too. I think was one I sometimes couldn't remember for a while.
Yep, they're West Coast as well.
Yep. So
As
good,
I was just there.
good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think what is
Yeah. So
this?
yeah, this week will be the week of like adjusting and being like, oh, like,
Yeah, because like I think, yeah, here we go. North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. They have parts. They're most of their states are central time zone, except for like the far going like west. Then they're a quarter of their state gets cut into mountain time zone.
interesting.
Well, this is weird. Arizona says, oh no, Arizona is mountain time? Thought it was West Coast.
I, hmm.
Let's check these maps again. Let's say world time zone. No, no. We're all stuck on time zones here. This is fun.
We're having a very substantive discussion, and
This one's not telling me shit.
all of Arizona is in the mountain time zone. Interesting. Yeah, I thought it was Pacific too. Oh, yes, I'll pick up this stupid prescription for the painkillers I'm not going to need for a few more weeks now.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. Arizona is mountain time. So there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven states technically. There, well, no, six that are completely in mountain time because Idaho looks like the northern part of Idaho is in Pacific time, which makes no fucking sense according to this map.
I always forget, and probably because I'm an idiot, that like,
You know,
yeah,
half a ten, like a quarter of, like three-quarters of Tennessee is in central. Half Kentucky's in central too.
Nevada is further west than Arizona. I always seem to forget that for some stupid reason.
Yeah, so like
Uh,
when you're in Nevada, like when you're in, well, put it this way, when you're in Vegas, my friend Bill lives out in Vegas. I think it's only a 3 hour drive to Los Angeles. I think that's what it is. Like it's like a 3 to 4 hour drive to Los Angeles. And you gotta think where Las Vegas is. It's not that far of a drive to even reach the California border specifically.
Yeah, but yeah, looking at this time zone map is the mountain time, the Eastern time zone is fairly, yeah, it's like some of the westernmost parts of Indiana and both the northern and southern parts are in central, western Kentucky, kind of most of Tennessee,
Yeah.
and then like the westernmost part of the Florida Panhandle are in central. But like Georgia, Alabama, it's exactly along the state border. So Georgia's in the Eastern time zone, Alabama's in central. Um, it looks like a little bit of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is in central time zone, but most of it's in Eastern time zone. And then what's really weird then is like the furthest western part of Texas is in the mountain time zone. That can be understood, I guess.
Yeah, it's so weird though. It's that
It's weird then how like
little corner.
yeah, little slivers of westernmost Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota are in the mountain time zone. But what's really weird with North Dakota is that the westernmost border of North Dakota, where it also borders Canada, is central time zone, and then it goes down for about half, and then it like cuts in. That's very strange.
Yeah, like why would
And
the bottom left be in mountain time, but the top left would be in central? It makes no
right, if
sense.
you're in northwestern North Dakota, you're in the central time zone. If you're in southwestern North Dakota, you're in the mountain time zone. Yeah.
The other thing that doesn't
The
make
other weird
sense.
parts, like you said, were Idaho. The northernmost parts of Idaho are all in the Pacific time zone, and the southern parts, like the parts that are like wider across, as it were, are still a mountain. And then what's really weird is how you have
Oregon, you see a little slips.
yeah, this sliver of Oregon, of easternmost Oregon, that's in the western time, that's in the mountain time zone instead of Pacific.
That
And
shouldn't
again,
just
you can get to a part where you can go exactly north. Actually, you can start in southeasternmost Oregon, be in the Pacific time zone, then just go due north and go into the Mountain time zone and then eventually back into the Pacific time zone, but never leave the state of Oregon. That's fucking weird.
And like, look how like Idaho, just like the little sliver in Oregon makes no sense to me. Just it
Yeah.
should be the border, and then you have like Nevada, who is kind of like you leave Nevada, you go north into Idaho, you go from west to mountain, and then like, you could keep going straight up in Idaho, and you go right back to mountain
Yeah.
and
So
West Coast
so
time. It's
so
so weird.
so all of Nevada is in the Pacific time zone. So if you leave Nevada, go into Idaho, you're going to switch the time zones. But yeah, if you keep going just north through Idaho, you can go back into the Pacific time zone with again not leaving the state of Idaho. So
So funny.
that's there's probably an explanation for it somewhere, which I don't feel like looking up right now.
No, either do I.
But it's just as Johnny Depp, as Willy Wonka said, it's just really weird.
And it's weird, like, because you have like only four true states that are in West Coast time, and you
Yeah,
have part of Idaho.
yeah, that's the whole Pacific time zone. Yeah,
It's like this.
Because Hawaii and Alaska are obviously different time zones as well, since they're much further west. So, oh yeah, thank God the easternmost parts of the United States not crossed over into the Atlantic time zone, like the easternmost parts of Canada.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
then we
yeah,
just really be getting crazy.
like Maine and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like, Maine and, maybe some of
Well,
like
I
New
think Puerto
Massachusetts.
Rico goes by, they're a time zone ahead of us. Like,
I think, are the Atlantic time zone. Let me,
yeah, yeah. I think Puerto Rico is the Atlantic because they don't observe the daylight savings either.
Puerto Rico time zone. Yes, they are in it, what is called Atlantic Standard Time. And they are in that all year because they don't have daylight savings time. So
Yeah.
they are,
It should be like 11:24 there right now.
yes. So they're an hour ahead. And then that obviously means then when we here in the Eastern time zone are on daylight savings time, it's the same time as it is in Puerto Rico.
And then we do daylight and then we go back. We're an hour
Yeah.
behind them. It's
Yep.
so fucking weird. Oh, well, that's a great start to our show today. Talking about time zones.
Now that we've spent,
Well, you want to talk about a crazy time zone? Australia has a crazy time zone.
well, I mean, we know that because, as we all know, Australia is entirely populated by criminals. That's a
Oh,
Princess Bride reference.
oh, I don't remember that one. That's been a long
It
time.
was during the battle of wits between Vizzini and Wesley when he was all like, "Oh yes, Australia, and Australia, of course, is entirely populated by criminals,"
Gotcha. Okay. Now I
which
get it.
has basis in history, but
Mm,
obviously it's
sure.
not entirely criminals, of course.
No, no. Yeah, their time zones are weird. They have like five time zones, and some of them are like they don't go by hours, they go by like an hour and 30 minutes and an hour and 45 minutes. So there's like crazy differences.
You know,
That's why
it,
it sucks watching pay-per-views in the morning when we're in Perth because it's a 12-hour difference, 12 hours ahead.
I mean, it's bad enough that they think that the best thing that they can export to us from Australia is their bloomin' onion, but I mean, let's not get cutesy with the time zones here, you know.
Oh, too funny. I've had a bloomin' onion. I haven't had one of those in a long time, you know?
Yeah, I feel like I want to go to Outback now, but I really don't.
Went to
It's not right up the road from me anymore, so I'd have to
mm,
drive a little bit to go there. It's such an
oh
inconvenience. It's such
God.
an inconvenience.
So high end, so bougie, it's too inconvenient to drive there.
Actually, well, I am also kind of slightly afraid to see what they might be charging price wise now.
Oh God, yeah, I know. When we were at the state fair a little bit a couple weeks ago, uh
I mean,
had
um,
bloomin' onions and they were like I think it was like $16 for a bloomin' onion at the state fair. It
yeah,
was crazy.
that's. Well, you know what? Let me just Outback menu.
Bring it. Uh-oh, it's bringing it up.
I'm just curious to see what it says, and then they might do this whole thing where it's like you got to select the store to. And I'm like, no, just show me the fucking price and shut up. Um. Oh yeah, I got to start an order.
Oh, just start in order. Who cares? See what it says.
Yeah, it's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, yes, it can be. It can be. I know.
Yeah. View the menu. Well, the closest Outback to me is still only 10.99 for a bloomin' onion. I guess it could be worse.
That's not bad.
Oh, they have fried mozzarella boomerangs now.
Mm,
I must
all
have
right.
them.
Fried mozzarella boomerangs. That sounds
Oh,
delightful.
and not only that, but now they have a combo appetizer called the Down Under Trio.
Ooh, oh,
Bloomin' onions, the new fried mozzarella boomerangs, and Aussie cheese fries. I must
that's
have it.
that sounds glorious to me right now, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, like, ooh, really?
What? Uh,
Sounds
What
yummy.
inspired them to add fried mozzarella to their menu, though? This is an Australian steakhouse, not an Italian place. So,
Oh, it's
is this a kid thing? Is that what this is? Is this a kid thing?
it could be.
I just I'm recalling some episodes of Kitchen Nightmares where they had like mozzarella sticks on the menu, and it was like not a place where the type of restaurant where you would expect to see mozzarella sticks, and it's like it's there for kids, isn't it?
Yes. What's going on? I'll figure that out later. But anywho, so I was in Vegas this week for a work conference.
Okay, so two things I have to, of course, say to that.
Yes.
Vegas, baby, yes. And then also ask you, did what happened stay?
Always. Come on now. So there's what was I gonna say? So there were a lot of kids in Vegas. The last time I was there has been a couple years, right? And they're doing a lot of construction along the strip for new stuff and taking out old stuff, put up new stuff, which all that construction is pretty much done. So the only real construction they have going on right now, from what I could tell on the strip, is they got rid of the old volcano and the old pirate ship from Treasure
Huh?
Island.
How dare they?
They got rid of them because they are building a Hard Rock Cafe casino resort with that's being shaped as a guitar. So that's in the work in progress. But and of course they were setting up for the they had all the stuff set up for the F1 race. Well, some of it. They were getting all the lights and things together because that race is coming up in a couple weeks in Vegas. But
I, of course, hope they don't just F1. I hope they F2 or 3 or 4. Oh, I was thinking of something else.
yeah, yeah, you were. Um, but no, it was a good time. Met some coworkers I hadn't seen in a while from the other offices and met some faces, you know, that I've seen over, Google Meet and Zoom that I got to see in person. So a good conversation with some of those people. And, got to meet some of our employees from remotely that from other places and sales offices and some people from Canada and Europe and stuff like that as well. So overall it was cool. We stayed at the Encore Win, which is a very bougie place, put it that way. My room had like three sections to it. It was crazy. Uh, but the casino was nice. I did a little gambling with roulette. I went up, went down, went up, went down, went up, finally went up into positive and stayed there and I stopped. Always a good thing. And yeah, the food there was good. and then so, walked up and down the strip for a while, a couple times, and went to Blake Shelton's Old Red, um, you know, bar. It's 3 floors, pretty cool. Met up with one of my friend Bill, like I mentioned earlier, and his mom and his wife, uh, to go have like lunch with them and meet up and hang out for a little bit. And yeah, so Vegas for me, like it's weird. Like there was a lot of kids there. Like I don't know what it was, but families were bringing kids. I remember, oh, Sunday night, I met up with my friend Bill. They had gone out to a show, and I met him at this rooftop bar called Brewdog. And as I'm walking over there to meet them, it's probably like 8:30 at night. There's families with their kids walking the streets, coming out of the M&M store and other stores and stuff like that. But then like after we were there for a while and I went back to the place I was staying, got me a slushy alcoholic drink and just kind of walked the strip for a little bit. And it was like after midnight and there's kids being pushed in strollers like this, like zombies, like like passed out. And their parents are just, strolling along. I went into casinos, walked through a couple casinos, and there's all these signs, 21 and plus only. So they have like a 14-year-old kid watching their 3 siblings as their parents are fucking playing slots. I was like, what the fuck is going on? There was, it was interesting.
Hey,
It was just,
Junior, that's your college money going in that machine.
it just baffled me that there was so many kids there and there was just kind of kids supervising themselves, kids supervising each other, while their parents are gambling. I found that interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
in the words of the eloquent scholars known as the South Park Boys, dude, that's pretty fucked up right there.
yeah, 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 so, um, no, overall was fine. It's weird. Like for back in my early 20s, I liked to gamble. Now I just kind of like an occasional things. Like for me, like Vegas is cool to a certain extent. It's bright lights at night, it is what it is. But like for me, the only reason I would travel out to Vegas is one for work, two to, go see a couple people, some friends I know out there. And then three would be if I'm going to see a show or a sporting event, because I'm not going to go out there and gamble. And really the max amount of days I would stay there would be 3 or 4 days max. Because if you've been to Atlantic City, Vegas is just Atlantic City to me on steroids, really. Some people might agree with that, some probably will not, whatever the case may be. It is what it
I was gonna
is.
say, I'm sure there's gonna be people who are gonna say, "Oh, you can't compare the two." I've never been to either, so I don't give a shit. But yeah,
It's hard to compare. It's just Vegas is bigger and it is. It's bigger and brighter and it's on steroids. Really, if you want to
yeah,
put a simple
Vegas, yeah,
analogy.
Vegas is bigger and brighter and glitzier and doesn't have all the past mob connection. Oh, wait a minute. Never
Um,
mind. Uh,
there are some cool things about Vegas. There's certain, you know, things about it that are definitely cool. There's going to casinos in certain places you can eat. There's like a lot of speakeasies and stuff like that, and other things that they do there. That's very different. They were really cool. Um, Not at the casino. The reason where I stayed at last time, I want to say it's not the Red Rock. That was the time before that. Um, I was right across the street from the Wynn, the Conrad Tower we stayed in, but they have a really cool cigar bar in there where you go on the one side of it and they have like this a shit ton of cigars and they help you out, pick whatever you want, and they cut the cigars for you. And then if you want to go in the lounge, you get in line, you go sit in like this low lighting bar. There's music playing, but it's at a low volume for you, so you're like not screaming at each other trying to figure, while you're talking. And you can just it's pricey with the drinks, don't get me wrong, but it's just a really cool atmosphere. Sit there,
yeah,
smoke a
I thought this.
cigar,
I
have a
thought the
couple old
screaming at each
fashions,
other
and
was the appeal.
yeah, none at this place. Definitely not. Yeah, it was one of the coolest places I've had been at. in Vegas. There was another place too. I forget which. I think it's at one of the MGM places. Ah, it looks like the front of the place looks like a little retail shop. If you go through these curtains, it's like they sell this like this Asian food and they have entertainment in the back and um some of the best Asian food I've had in my life I had there. Now I heard the service isn't as good, but at that time it was one of my favorite places I've had. But yeah, Vegas is Vegas. Overall the trip was good. I can't really complain. My work gave us some pretty interesting entertainment. They had a mentalist come in, and Monday night we had like a reception dinner for everybody, and this mentalist was kind of walking around. And yeah, he got me and my boss. Yeah, he definitely did with some stuff. Quite interesting, I will say.
So did he hypnotize you?
No, no, it's just one of those ones where I think his name's Chris Michael. I think that's what his name is. Um, where he's able to read people and like, hey, this number, try to unlock my phone, this, that, and next thing it says stuff and um goes based off your expressions to kind of get you to, you know, visually give him clues on what he needs to do. Put it that way. He's worked for the FBI and stuff like that before as well.
And the FBI and the
So it was
CIA.
but he did some breakout sessions on Tuesday and kind of explains like everything. So he gave us his email, so I just got to email him so he can send us the stuff that he presented to us at the conference because I'm really interested in how he like did some of the stuff, like how he's able to pick our brains and all that jazz. So it was very interesting. Um, yeah, and then we went to Wednesday night when we finished everything. We had a little gathering at the beach bar at the casino, and we had the lead singer of Sugar Ray perform for us. That was interesting. If you saw my Facebook post, I posted some videos about that. Took some videos. That was pretty cool. For those, younger people who had no idea what the fuck this group is, which is kind of funny because there was a lot of people that I work with who had no idea who Sugar Ray was or the lead singer. So, yes, I had somebody ask me, what kind of music is that? And I'm like, what kind of music does Sugar Ray sing? And I was like, interesting, interesting. Okay. Um, but it seems like he plays with a cover band these days. I don't remember the name of the cover band, but they were really good. Um, the female in the cover band was really good. The male was decent, but there were some songs that he definitely should not have sang because he's not able to, oh, excuse me, get to those higher registers. But they were good overall.
You always hate when people think they can sing and they can't.
It it
You
wasn't
know,
that he,
they think they can sing a certain range and they can't.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah. That was kind of like, like, you kind of hurt the song when you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the female, she was really good. She was hitting a lot of different registers and tones and stuff like that. So the song she was singing. And then he came on. He was actually kind of funny. He was kind of made fun of himself and then like just joking around and stuff like that. So um yeah, he came down in the crowd was singing with us and all that stuff. So it was pretty cool. It was definitely a good time. But then at the end of the day, I just wanted to come home.
Yeah. So every time I hear mentalist, it reminds me
The
of
TV show.
no, because I never watched that show. Um, Back when I was still in high school, we had an assembly one day. This would have been I was either in 10th or 11th grade. We had like an assembly. It was one of the fun assemblies. It wasn't one of the assemblies, And they had like a hypnotist come in and did stuff. I was not selected, luckily. Um, I would not have wanted to have been hypnotized. So anyway, so it was just a fun little diversion thing and everything. Well, one parent took exception
Oh boy.
to a hypnotist coming in. And she showed up at the next school board meeting with all this material about the dangers of hypnotism and this, that, and the other thing. And I wasn't there for this school board meeting, of course. I just read about it in like the newspaper the next day and everything. Um, but it just really made me laugh all the way around because I'm reading it saying, okay, this woman's hysterical and taking this too seriously. These are all my opinions here. Um, but the problem is that the high school principal who did not excel in tact um, in his very brief tenure because he was only the principal for 10th and 11th grade. He had been the assistant principal prior, and then for other reasons, he ran away after my 11th grade year. That's another story.
Okay.
Um, but he just had a tendency of putting his foot in his mouth or saying something stupid or doing something stupid. So I guess he just was getting annoyed at this woman, and I can theoretically understand why, because the woman sounded like she came in hot with an agenda,
The
and
agenda
so
part's the biggest thing right
and
there.
so maybe he felt like he was getting pushed and getting back into a corner, and so he got defensive. I can understand all that, but rather than be able to just like sit there and take it and say, okay, we understand your concerns. We thought it was a fun diversion for the students. We don't think anything there was going to be any kind of lasting harm. Um, he started going at the woman, and specifically like it started like saying going after the woman's kid, and I don't remember who the woman's kid was. I don't know if I knew the kid or whatever. Started saying, bringing up like, he's got a bad attendance record and this, that, and the other
Oh
thing, which is
Jesus.
very, very
Okay.
well may be true, but is also kind of irrelevant to the
So yeah.
discussion. And I guess the woman finally had enough and was like, "Would you please stop attacking my son?" Which
Yeah, it's a bit much, dude.
she kind of had a right to do too. So, and then it was funny because he got called out in the Express Times newspaper later that week. Um, like every week, the end of every week, I think usually on Sundays, in like the letter to the in like the editorial page, they had like their I don't know if you remember this. They had like their uh trophies and turkeys of the week
Oh yeah, I remember those. Yeah, yeah.
where they would, single out people who were like, were in the news in the past week for good or for bad, and they gave him one of their turkeys, which obviously were the bad ones. It was a trophy. Uh, and they basically just called him out for losing his cool and not handling it diplomatically and resorting to personal attacks and everything. So I was like, yeah, like I said, this guy was an asshole. I never had any respect for him. Um, and again, like I said, I think the woman was probably overreacting to the max. But again, you the whole point behind being a high school principal and everything is, especially when you're at a school board meeting, you're open up to public comment and everything. And you're supposed to just sit there, acknowledge, kind of just be like, mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. You have to fake it if you don't like
Gotta
what they're
fake it to
saying and
make it.
everything. You have to keep your cool. You have to be responsible about it. He wasn't, and I don't think he was really capable of doing it because maybe he felt like he was being personally attacked. Okay, I don't really think he was. And again, as I said, I think the woman was overreacting. I think anybody's being concerned about a hypnotist. I think, especially in this day and age in which we live, hypnotism, you're already being hypnotized literally every fucking day, every time you look at
Yeah,
your fucking screen.
yeah, very
So,
true.
you
Swipe
know,
away.
obviously this was the 90s though, so none of this shit existed quite yet. Um, the internet was there, but social media wasn't. So I just always find it funny. So anytime I hear mentalist or hypnotist,
So
I always think back to that incident just because again it was like I take a perverse pleasure in it because like I said I just had no respect for this principal, thought he was a complete fucking tool. And I also just was kind of making fun of like the ultra concerned parent who comes in guns blazing saying, "I can't believe you're doing this."
yeah, it's not that bad. So I'll give you a breakdown of how this happened. So after you got done with going, doing his thing with my boss, he looks at me and he was like, "I'm gonna give you my phone." I'm like, "All right." He goes, "I want you to put in a 4-digit code that has meaning to you." I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
So I type in 1977, which as the year I was born, it didn't work. He's like, don't lock me out of my phone. I'm like, oh, I was only going to try once. So he was like, all right. He was like, what was the number? I was like, 1977. He's like, oh, did it work? I was like, nope. He's like, I want you to look at the house you grew up with the tree in the front and the house, you didn't say grow up in. Let me rephrase that. That's me.
Oh, I
He's like,
didn't grow up in a house. I grew up in a shack.
yeah. So he's like, I want you to imagine a house with a tree in front of it, somewhere that has some meaning to you, is what he said. So I'm like, okay. So I had two places in mind. The place I lived in Pennsylvania and the place I lived when I was lived in Chicago, right? The two most prominent houses technically in my life. Now, coincidentally, both those houses' addresses start with the number three. So he was like, you know, you have the place. I'm like, yes. He's like, put the number. He goes, put the number in that it represents the first number. I'm like, all right. So I put a three. And then the second part, I don't remember what he said, but I did not know if I wanted to use the Chicago address or the PA address. So I decided to go with the PA address. So I put an eight. And he said something that represented the number eight. And he's like, put in the last two digits of that number. So I put 50 and it unlocks his phone. And he was like, what significance is that number to you? I was like, 3850. He was like, well, what numbers did you put in? I said 50. He unlocked my phone. I'm like, yeah, and I showed everybody. He's like, what's the significance of that house? I was like, it's the house I grew up in Pennsylvania. So I just kind of wonder if I would have picked the other one if it would have went the same way or not. No, probably not. But you probably would have tried another thing to try to get on me, which is fine. So then after that, the weird part was, and I don't know where he got this from. He goes, he goes, you're a Gemini and your birthday's at the end of the month. And I'm like, that's a really random guess. And I was like, yeah, yeah, it is. And then um he goes, uh, give me a word that describes you. And I go, well, there's like 10 different words I could think of that I would describe me based off my friends, right? So the words I was thinking of using was coach or bougie. So I went with the outlandish one. And I kind of figured I knew where this was going because I've seen this before on TV. So I
Mhm.
said bougie. And he goes, yeah, someone's name's pop in my head. A person named Lauren Cox. And my boss is like, who the fuck is Lauren Cox? So he Googles her and he brings her up. And he goes to my boss, he goes, what's her birthday? He goes, May 29th, 1972. And he looks at me, he goes, what's your birthday? I said, May 29th. I said, but 1977. He goes, close enough. And I was like, son of a bitch. But then, because I remember, I've seen this part before. So I was going to go with the coach part, but there is a couple coaches that have the same birth date as mine. Not the same year, but the same date. I was like, oh, interesting. So then he went on to one of my other coworkers, but that was pretty much the gist of it. I think the biggest one for me was like, where did you get the Gemini and the end of the month thing? That was the one I was kind of like, that one just kind of was like, oh, how did you get that? Like, where did that come from? And I'm thinking to myself, was I talking about my birthday at all? Anywhere earlier in the night where he walked by and he was like listening? But I didn't recall I was tendering sin at that point, so I couldn't remember if I did or not. So, but yeah, that was pretty much the gist of what happened with this guy on Monday night. But it was pretty cool. Definitely was. Um, yeah, I thought it was interesting. The one that got my boss though was like he asked my boss about someone that, has meaning in his life, a specific person. So he wrote down his name and he did some other stuff and tried to guess his name and he was wrong. But then he pulls out this piece of paper from the back of his pocket and he goes, I wrote this out earlier. He unfolds it And the dude's name that my boss had written down, his name was on that piece of paper. Because my boss was fucking with him. He was like, "You're no David Blaine, damn it. You're no David Blaine." And then when he got the Gus part, he's like, "All right, you are David Blaine and better. Okay, I'll give you some props." It was good. It was humorous. It was funny. Definitely was. Yeah, it's a good time though.
Well,
Definitely a good time.
that's I think that's ultimately the most important thing when you go to something like that is that you just have a good time because it's like it reminds me of the Prestige, with like the lines where they can talk about now you're looking for the secret, except you're not really looking. You don't want to work it out. You want to be fooled.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. It's like you have to go into that with like okay, I know this is fake and this is this and it's that or whatever, but I just want to have a fun experience.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Entertain me, so
Yeah, it was entertaining. It was definitely fun. We all got a laugh out of it. It was a good time. Yeah. So we'll skip sports because Dodgers won the World Series and the Blue Jays fucked up last night and they could have won. So fuck
here, I just want to say this real quick about the
the
World Series.
hell with LA.
Yeah, I just want to say this about the World Series real quick. So I was determined to not watch any of it. Then when I saw what was going on Friday night, I saw it was 3-1 Dodgers. It was in the ninth inning. The Blue Jays had runners on second and third with nobody out. I was like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, just in case there's a walk-off, because a walk-off to win the World Series, there's a few things that could be more possibly exciting than that. I mean,
Absolutely.
Joe Carter, whether it's Bill Mazeroski against my beloved Yankees 19 years before I was born. Uh, you know, um, but I was like, okay, just in case. And then the Blue Jays just like they squandered that opportunity. It's like, and obviously you don't know what would happen, but it's like the Dodgers bring in a relief pitcher, and the guy swings at the first fucking pitch he throws. You never swing at the first pitch a new relief pitcher comes in with, and everything because he made an
No.
out. And then the guy getting doubled up to end the game. That was just I don't
Bad
like
base running, dude. Like, how'd you? I'm sorry.
when the
You're
guy hit the ball off the bat, I thought it was headed for the gap. But then as soon as they show like they show the field and it's like I'm like, oh, okay, that's hanging up and the guy's running right at it. And it's like,
how do
the
you get
guy
caught off
standing there on the base pass has to be able to tell that right away. And the fact that he didn't, he let himself get doubled up is
awareness?
wow, god awful, god
Hi-
awful.
His awareness was horrible. Like, why are you that far off the base and not really paying attention? You need to be, is one out. You need to be closer, bro.
Yeah, you can't take that chance. So that was bad. And then I was like, okay, so I feel like I just jinxed the Jays because I turned it on just to watch them squander a second and third no out opportunity when they were down two. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to turn the game on at all tonight. This is what I was saying yesterday. Well, a couple of my Yankee friends were watching it, and they talked about, and I saw them say bench is clearing, and I'm like, what? So I had to go turn it on at that point. Let me just say this: Andres Jimenez is a fucking pussy. Okay, I don't like to say that about athletes anymore, but he was a fucking pussy because I went back as far as I could because I hadn't had the app on to see it, but the guy wasn't trying to hit him. The guy was just pitching up and in, but he wasn't trying to hit him. And I saw the pitch prior to the one that hit him.
Hmm.
Did you see that at all?
Hmm.
He threw his hand out at the ball,
I know.
trying to get hit.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it quite like that. You can see guys like lean into pitches and shit like that. I've never seen a guy literally flick his hand out trying to get hit with the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. He was that was quite interesting, I would say.
So he does that, and then he gets hit on the next pitch, and then he wants to cause this whole big brouhaha where the fucking bench is empty and the bullpen's empty. And for once, I agree with John Smoltz calling out the guys from the bullpen for running in because it was so stupid. Like I'm like, yeah, Game 7 of World Series, you're gonna have a fucking brawl? Come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Take your dicks and stick them back between your fucking legs, you fucking pansies. Jesus Christ. You're there to win a baseball game, not to have a fucking brawl. Jesus. Oh my God. Fucking stupid. Anyway, I turned it off again after it settled down, and then like I started watching it again from maybe like the ninth inning on. And yeah, Toronto just blew it. They had their chances and they blew it.
They had
Um,
opportunities and like letting them score a run in the eighth and then the ninth.
yeah,
Like,
giving up a home run to like the
uh,
eighth best hitter in the lineup. No offense to Miguel Rojas, but come on, this is a lineup that's got Otani and Freeman and Betts and Muncy and Smith. So come on,
yeah,
Rojas is not exactly high up on the list of the guys that it's like, oh well, shit, that guy hit a home run off of us.
no. And what the thing is, like, not that the pitch was a meatball that he got to hit a home run, but at the same point, like, he's someone that they should have kept throwing up and in or up and
Mhm.
away to. Like, that's his weak spot. And they threw in a spot where he's he has good contact.
Yeah,
And you can have those swings, but just like Barry Bonds says, just swinging the bat to hit the ball, make contact, and the ball's going to go where it's going to go. And he hit a home run. And I'm like, it reminded me of when, Chapman gave up that home run to homeboy from Cleveland. Like it was a kind of a lower pitch, but he reached out for it, and a ball being thrown 100 miles an hour coming off the bat can go anywhere. So I was like, God damn. But yeah,
Joe, how was that 9 years ago already?
I know. Tell me about it. But
But
it's
yeah,
it's
I mean, but yeah, it's like
it's
you let a guy with a career 362 slugging percentage hit a home run off of you to tie the game in the ninth inning of the World Series. So
yeah.
that's not a great look, as it
And
were.
then then you have opportunities in all those innings to do something, and they just, you know,
I, I want to say this too. Like, so Rojas then made that play and threw the guy out at the plate. And I thought he wasn't going to do it. I thought that was the end of the game because I saw him like after he fielded it, he started to stumble. And they talked about
yeah.
it. Like, he was like losing his balance and stuff. And I said, yeah, I didn't think he was going to make the throw. And the throw almost didn't get there in time and almost took Smith off the plate. I mean,
Well, it did.
his foot did come off the plate, but it definitely got back down on the plate before the runner's foot hit the plate. And it's like you could hear like the fans booing, and of course they're going to because I mean, yeah. But it's like I said to myself, I said, you know what? They are not overturning that.
No, no, they weren't. I knew they weren't going
Even
to.
if he was safe, they were not going to overturn that. Because there is no way that they will say that the World Series is over because of a replay review.
Well, yeah, I guess that'd be bad. Even
I just didn't see
it,
that one happening. I'm
if
like, there's no way. There's no way.
well, the other problem with that is when you're showing the replay to millions of people watching it, and if it was clearly safe and they didn't do it, there'd have been a fucking uproar about that shit.
Yeah, see, that was the whole thing. They could have kept arguing that it wasn't clear, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been because it was so close and everything. But yeah,
Nonetheless, too, like I didn't on that play too, I didn't get a chance. I don't remember or see how much of a lead the guy at third base had. Because honestly, he should have had like a pretty decent lead. And as soon as that ball was hit, he should have been off. Like I don't know how I to me, he should have made it.
mhm,
Um, but I don't know how close to the bag he was or how big of a lead he was. I didn't get a chance to go back and see that. So if
yeah,
he was closer to the plate, yeah, he's not going to make it. But if he had a decent lead like he should have been able to make that, score the winning run.
mhm.
I thought the
And
collision in the outfield was going to be
oh my
fucking
God, yeah, it's like that would have been the
talking
craziest
about
fucking
luck.
way for a World Series to ever end if the two guys had run into each other and the ball had dropped. But prior to that, I wanted to single this out because I hate the son of a bitch. Vladdy just had to try to be the hero there in the bottom of the ninth. So Rojas ties the game in the top of the ninth, right? Vladdy leads off the bottom of the ninth against Snell. It's a 3-0 count. And he swings and he hits the ball and he puts a pretty good ride into it, but he hits it to straightaway center field and it's not deep enough. Here was my problem. If you looked at that pitch was not enough of a automatic strike throw by Snell for Vlad to be swinging in that instance in my mind. There's a good chance. All right. there's somewhat of a chance that pitch would have been called a ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's not, okay, it's 3-1. You
Give
know,
yourself an opportunity to get a better pitch on the next one.
right. It wasn't like a straight down the middle fastball, because he's obviously not going to throw that pitch in that situation anyway. But let's just assume everything plays out the same way. Um, Bichette singles and Barger walks the next two at bats. So if Vlad had somehow drawn a walk there, you would have bases loaded with nobody out. Yeah, and
Yep.
fallacy, the predetermined outcome, and all that. But again, so like the Jays, you have their chances there, and then in the 11th, Vlad leads off with a double, and I know it's
Which
Isaiah.
was a good hit by him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. When he hit that, I'm like, oh, they're gonna tie it. They're gonna tie it. They're gonna tie it. I know it's Isaiah Kiner Falefa, and has a former Yankee who infuriated the fuck out of me because I just always felt like he sucked. Um, I sorry, I thought I heard my sister's dog. I fully understand there's only so much he can possibly do at the plate in this situation, even against a pitcher who's probably gassed, because I'm sure assuming Yamamoto couldn't have had that much in it, and everything. I mean, shit, he hit the first guy he faced when he came into the game.
Yeah.
Um, but my God, yes, I know you need just that one run to at least keep the game going. And you got to think, I got to get this running. But man, I really fucking hate the bunt. I hate giving up the outs in that situation. And because I'm also, they didn't intentionally walk Barger, of course, because
Yeah.
they're not going to do that, of course, because you're not going to intentionally walk the World Series winning run. You're not going to put that run on base.
Yeah, I mean, he's already at second. Yeah. The bunt, I know they played the small ball part there, but it's
I just didn't think it was worth it and everything. So I was like, I don't like giving up the out. And again, Barger did legit draw a walk, but then Kirk puts the ball right where Betts can do the unassisted double play, or the six unassisted double play. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, the thing you don't want to do is fucking you he grounds into the double play, and I'm like, fuck.
yeah.
Like,
So
do something to like I don't know. Here's the other thing too. And here's the other thing that I don't see a lot of players do anymore. And this is what Rizzo was really good at. When you get into situations like that, you just want to put the ball in play. And like, Kirk swings, it looks like he was trying to do something like, hit it. You know what I mean? Some of the Blue Jays seemed like they were trying to do too much. Choke up on the bat, switch up your stance, not your stance, but like move yourself in the box. So you get a better opportunity to get it into the outfield. Give Guerrero a chance to fucking score the tying run to tie the game back up. A lot of players don't do that shit anymore. They just try to fucking swing for the fences or just swing. Like their mentality about that is just not the same. And if like Kirk or somebody would have been able to like choke up and just kind of like because they're playing in too, like you can see the alignment on everything. Like they're playing in to do stuff. Like all you needed was a base hit. Get it over the infielder's head, the drop, and Guerrero score on the fucking tying run. So yeah.
yeah,
It's sometimes the
and
mentality of the hitters these days is what really kind of drives me crazy. That really pisses me off.
yeah. I mean, again, it's so easy to sit here and second guess Monday morning quarterback and
Yeah, no,
all
absolutely.
that shit. But again, it's like I still just really feel and always will that seeing somebody giving up outs, bunting is just that's a pretty to me that's like an instant second guess. So
Yeah.
um now I hate to do this since it's just the two of us on, but I need to run downstairs to check on my sister's dog because I hear her whining that could mean almost anything. So hopefully this will be real quick. But
Okay, no problem.
so I don't know if you want to pause the recording or
All right.
anytime you're ready.
We're ready. Well, no, we're on. We're good. We're back in action. Took a little pause there, people. Sorry for the little inconsistencies in the audio and the video, but we had a little pause there.
Sorry, life happens and
Yeah, yeah.
big
Having
babysitting happens.
Got to attend to the animals.
The baby in this case being a 16 and a half year old dog. So,
Yeah, long, long time there for
so,
sure.
but yeah, World Series. I mean, yeah, it sucks. I mean, for me as a Yankee fan, I'm not expecting anybody to have any sympathy for me, and I'm not looking for any. For me, it sucks because fuck the Dodgers. And you just, if you're a Yankees fan, you can never like the Dodgers. That dates back to when the Dodgers were still in Brooklyn, you know.
True.
And obviously, the Dodgers beat the Yankees in the World Series last year and back in 1981. So the Yankees are the Dodgers two. Never mind all those times they beat them in the 40s and 50s. Um, and the Blue Jays, of course, beat the Yankees this year, which sucked. And the Blue Jays just came out to me as being a very arrogant team throughout the whole playoffs. And the way they beat the Yankees, brains in, hey, they earned it. They earned it. It doesn't mean it doesn't piss you off when you're on the receiving end of it. So this was like a World Series where it was like, oh God, can't the stadium just blow up? But I really think at the end of the day, I would have maybe actually preferred to see the Blue Jays win. Um, like I saw ESPN use the term dynasty for the Dodgers, and it's like, no, 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 because they've won two in a row, which is great because obviously nobody had done that in a quarter fucking century, and nobody had done it in the National League in 50 years.
Well, since the 70s.
Yeah, since the Reds in 75, 76, no, there had been no repeat National League champion.
Nope.
But no, two in a row does not a dynasty make. And if somebody said, well, 2020, I'm like, I'm going to just stop you right there on 2020 for a few reasons. One, while it counts, it was still a bullshit season. Okay.
Yeah.
60-game season with modified playoffs and everything else. So yeah. Um, how many guys who were on that Dodgers team are still there? Were still there for these last couple? Betts, Kershaw, Muncy, Smith. I don't think many others. So, you know, there was just saying like there was a lot more continuity between the 1996 Yankees and the 2000 Yankees, despite a number of changes that team had over those 4 years, than between the 2020 Dodgers and the 2025 Dodgers. So you can't go through using the term dynasty yet. Now, if the Dodgers go and somehow win again next year, yes, they're a dynasty. Won't even dispute it. Won't try to. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I think it's challenging when they start doing the dynasty in baseball because they are only the eighth team now that has won back-to-back in Major League Baseball history. The Yankees have done it six different occasions,
The
and
Yankees, yeah, the Yankees did it a shitload of times. And the Reds did it in 75 and 76. The A's won three in a row from 72 to 74.
the A's have done it three different times.
Yeah, the A's, I gotta go
They
back.
did it twice under the Philadelphia team name.
Yes, the Philadelphia A's won in 1910 and 1911, and then again in 1913, but they didn't win in 1912. They weren't in the World Series in 1912. The Cubs won in 1907 and 1908. The A's in 1910 and 1911.
Yeah,
The Red Sox won back to back in 1915 and 1916. The Giants won back to back in 1921 and 1922. Um,
there was a third
The
time they
Yankees won.
there's
The Yankees won in 27 and 28. The A's won in 1929 and 1930. The Yankees then won four in a row from 1936 to 1939. Da, da, da,
the
da.
A's won three different times though, back to back.
Yeah, 1910 and 1911,
Oh, okay.
1929 and 1930, and then
29,
1972
30.
to 1974.
Yeah.
So the Yankees won four in a row from 36 to 39. Then there wasn't a repeat champion again until the Yankees won five in a row from 1949 to 1953. The next repeat champion was the Yankees again in 61 and 62. And then the A's from 72 to 74, the Reds from 75 to 76, the Yankees from 77 to 78. And then after that, I don't think he had a repeat champion until the Blue Jays in 92 and 93.
Yep.
And then the Yankees in 90 from 98 to 2000. And then the Dodgers the last 2 years. I'm pretty sure that's the list. So the
Yeah,
other thing
sounds
that I
like it.
guess also irks me is that the realization that Dave Roberts can start prepping his smile for his Hall of Fame plaque. because he has now joined. As much as like the bullshit of 2020, it still counts, like I said. So Dave Roberts now joins a very elite group of 11 managers who have won 3 or more World Series. Of the other 10, 9 of them are in the Hall of Fame. And the 10th was still managing this past season, though he has once again retired, that being Bruce Bochy. And since Bruce Bochy, even though Bruce Bochy has a just under 500 career winning percentage, he did win 4 World Series and 1 additional pennant. So Bruce Bochy will get a Hall of Fame plaque as well.
Yeah, he will.
So Dave Roberts, with a 621 winning percentage so far in his career, which is better than any of the other Hall of Fame managers who won 3 or more World Series. Better than Joe McCarthy and Casey Stengel and Walter Alston and Joe Torre and Sparky Anderson and John McGraw. So yeah, and the fact that his team is obviously still going to be here for the time being, as long as he's got Ohtani and Yamamoto, obviously looks like he's a really good player, and Betts and Freeman are still very good players, even though they're starting to get up there in age.
They'll be the favorites next year because they're going to make some moves. Kershaw's going to be gone. Other players are going to be gone. And
Yeah,
then
Kershaw's retiring. Their offensive core is definitely getting older. I mean, Smith will be 31 by opening day.
not really that
Freeman will
old.
be
Freeman's the one.
Freeman just turned 36.
Yeah, he's the older one. We'll see what happens. I don't know his contract status, but they'll make some moves.
Yeah, Betts just turned 33.
Considering
Muncy's
the fact he had a horrible playoffs.
Yeah, Muncy's 35 now. Pagas is the only guy who's kind of on the young side. He's about to turn 25. Teoscar Hernandez is 33. He might be a free agent again. No, he's not. And Ohtani is great. Ohtani is also 31.
Yeah.
So
He'll be fine.
a lot of people are probably saying Ohtani's a Hall of Famer. And I say, no, he's not. Now, why do I say Shohei Ohtani is not a Hall of Famer?
No, I don't know. But you're going to tell us.
Because he hasn't played enough years to be a Hall of Famer yet.
How many years has he played?
You have to play 10 years. Ohtani's been in the league 8 years now. So he'll get there. But if anybody says, "Oh, Ohtani's a Hall of Famer," Ohtani's a Hall of Famer now, it's like, well, no, technically he wouldn't be eligible for the Hall of Fame if he were to retire or would never play again right now for some reason. Let's say, I have to throw this hypothetical out here, as horrible it is. Let's say something happened and Ohtani passed away between now and next season.
They'd make an exception for him.
I'm sure they would. And you know what? I really wouldn't argue with it because,
nope.
Especially if it was something very tragic, where he suddenly died, it's like, I'm not gonna go there. But anyway, so the Dodgers are starting to get a little older. But as long as their guys still produce,
Plus the way they have
and they're the Dodgers, and they have found the best way to manipulate the system. So if they go and say, yeah, I know we've got Teoscar Hernandez and but Michael Conforto was playing a lot in the field this year, and he kind of sucked. Yeah, we'll throw a lot of money at Kyle Tucker.
Listen, Ohtani's contract set them up. That's really the gist of it. The way that contract's structured, that's how they're able to afford all these other players.
Yeah, it's like I think they still have to pay the luxury tax and everything, but it's like they're not paying like the actual salary until so much longer because that's what the whole point of the deferred money is. It's like they're now, I guess they're basically saying, oh yeah, that money will always be there.
It's backloaded. That's all it is.
Well, yeah, that money will always be there in years from now, and it probably will.
Plus, Ohtani is actually getting paid a shit ton of money from sponsors too. Like he's making, like he doesn't care. He doesn't care what his baseball contract is because he has this New Balance sponsorship, and I know he's got sponsors back in his home country. So he's good. Put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it was I mean, the biggest problem, of course, now is like I remember I think we discussed this. I can't remember if it was with you or if it was on the phone with AJ. Uh, Somebody was speculating, oh, if the Dodgers win the World Series again, that'll just increase the chances for a lockout. But like if the Brewers were to win, then it wouldn't happen. And I was like, yeah,
No.
I see the point, of course, but I think there was going to be a lockout no matter who won the World Series because the owners are going to try for a salary cap, and the players should resist that under all circumstances. And anybody who says otherwise is an idiot. I'm sorry. If you think that baseball should allow a salary cap to be implemented, if you think the Major League Baseball Players Association should allow a salary cap to be implemented on it, then I'm sorry, you're full of it. All right. You don't understand basic economics and every other damn thing. The baseball ownership has plenty of money, you know. So by saying a salary cap, because you were saying about, oh, I want my team to be competitive. No, what you want is for your team to be as rich as the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Cubs and the Red Sox are. And I
I
understand that.
just wish we spent more.
Right. I wish the Yankees spent more.
Dude, we had our revenue was like the third most revenue in the league,
Yeah.
and we were at the bottom of spending that revenue back into the players, like into the team.
Yeah,
We were like
I don't
26 on the list or some shit like that.
the Yankees I don't think rate very highly on that metric either, and I know what metric you're talking about.
Like,
Um,
Jesus Christ.
And I remember like a year or two ago, Michael Kay on his radio show was getting like incredulous at a caller who was saying the Yankees should spend more. And he's like, what do you want them to sign every player and have a $500 million payroll? And I think the guy basically just said yes. And it's because you know why? They could afford it. Even with paying millions in luxury tax and revenue sharing and everything else, they could still fucking afford it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So it's like I understand if you're a fan of the Rockies or the Pirates or the Orioles or the Royals. And the Royals have been over the last 10 years have actually had success, of course,
Yeah, they won a World Series
They won a World
2015.
Series there and they got to the playoffs again last year, but they're still very much a small market team and everything. Or like the Reds or or the Brewers, or the Padres. Well, the Padres have been spending big, so you can't really even throw that one on them anymore.
No,
It's
Minnesota.
like I'm sorry, it's like or the A's. Okay, the A's or the Rays, the Marlins. Yeah, right.
Ugh, yeah.
What you want you don't want to you don't really want a salary cap. What you want is better fucking ownership.
Hmm.
Because
Yep.
most of those teams that I mentioned have shitty ownership. I mean, the ain't shit. We're talking about shitty owners in baseball right now. I mean, the A's have a shitty owner. I don't think Vegas is going to solve all their ills, and of course, that's still so fucking up in the air.
Oh, the
Um,
stadium's being built. 2028 is when it
is it
opens.
actually being built? Yeah,
Oh
are they
yeah.
actually started
Oh,
construction? I thought they just did a ceremonial groundbreaking and then nothing
oh
else.
no. So let me give you some info on that while I was out there. Um, if you go, there is a website that you can put a deposit down to get tickets for when the stadium opens in 2028. So what it looks like they're doing, they want to do it in three phases. They're getting in. So where New York is at the end of the strip, diagonal from that there's a big opening. And my friend Bill said that's where the stadium's going. So they want to build like this corridor of restaurants on each side that lead up to the stadium. They want to have that done by like 2026, 2027 to get the restaurants open to bring some revenue in while the stadium's being built. And then it leads up to the stadium. And then on the behind the stadium is when they're gonna build the casino. Um,
Okay, so
the
sorry to
casino
interrupt.
resort. But yes.
If you go to MLB.com and go to the A's team page, there is a A's new ballpark in Las Vegas construction camp.
Yeah, yeah.
So
2028.
I got to be honest, I like that because it's at least transparent and you can see it.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, so okay, so stuff is definitely happening.
Yes.
You can start to see the beginnings of a stadium.
Yes.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
very, 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 very
It's very vague right now,
yeah.
but there,
But yeah, you can okay, so you can see it. So that's good to know. That's good to know.
And it's going to be good for them because they're not really going to run into a lot of weather issues out in Vegas when it comes to building the stadium. So there should be very few delays in regards to that aspect. But yeah, 2028 season, that's which is this 2025 is almost over. So what, two more seasons, two more baseball seasons,
Yeah, I
technically.
mean, let me back up here.
Yeah,
It's 2028 is when they're pulling it. So
yeah, yeah, it'll be done.
the A's franchise. This is interesting. This is on the Wikipedia.
This will
Um,
be their third city that franchise has been into. Fourth?
Philadelphia, Kansas City, Oakland.
Oh, I forgot about Kansas City.
I know because they were only there for about 13, 14 years. But so on the
Yeah,
Wikipedia
four
page for
cities.
what's on the Wikipedia page for what's currently being called New Las Vegas Stadium.
Hmm.
It mentions here the A's franchise has not played in a new stadium of their own without another sports team tenant since the 1909 completion of Shibe Park in Philadelphia.
Holy shit.
Now, that confuses me a little because who else was playing in the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, O.co Coliseum, whatever other fucking Network Associates Coliseum, whatever the fucking corporate sponsor names it had? Who else was playing in that stadium when the Raiders moved to LA? Or are they just saying it wasn't new anymore at that point? I'm
Well, yeah, it wasn't new at that point
going to
anymore.
have to examine that further because I mean that is a
It's probably correct though, because that wasn't a new stadium at that time. That's it had been used for a while.
well. That's what I'm
So
just saying. I'm like, okay. So are you telling me that they've always had a co-tenant everywhere they've ever been? I mean, so that's why that's a little confusing. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to like look to see like that's
yeah.
right time though.
Fort
But
City though. I forgot about the Kansas City part. Fort City. Holy shit. Now here's another thing. Speaking of that, no pro sports team would ever be able to go to Vegas because of gambling. And now look, they have a football team, they have a hockey team,
team.
they have a WNBA team, and now they're getting a baseball team. The
I
only
don't see
one
that.
to
I don't see them getting an NBA team anytime soon, though, because I don't think the NBA is in a position where they need to expand, let alone want to.
no,
And I
they don't
don't
need
think that,
to.
and I don't think they have any franchises who are in need of relocation either. So
No, they're at, maybe 20 years down the line, we might see an NBA team there. I think will happen. But I mean, the other thing too is that man is crazy. They're going to have every, major sports team except for NBA team. But, you know, um, I know in North Carolina, the owner of the Hurricanes is pushing hard for a baseball team in the state, either if it's on the in over here or over in, I think he prefers over here, but I've heard Charlotte as well. Um,
there's been so many cities speculated as for two new expansion cities, and then so many realignment options. I've seen a lot of realignment.
it would be good if we can get one in North Carolina, though. I think it'd go very well.
I mean, Portland's been mentioned for years because
Uh,
you have another one that's close to Seattle, but that might be a little controversial right now with the way that Portland gets portrayed in the media by certain people, Trump. Um, Salt Lake City, I know, has been mentioned, which I kind of oppose for a lot of reasons.
mm,
Charlotte, of course, has been mentioned. I think Nashville's been mentioned.
yeah, Nashville's the other one.
Don't think New Orleans has been mentioned. I think once upon a time it was, but I don't really think I've seen a lot of push for that now. There was another city, and now I'm not remembering who it was. All right, let me just do this.
I think it was a Midwest city, but like
Possible MLB expansion cities. There we go. Oh, Montreal. They always will throw Montreal in there again as well.
always.
Um, okay, so here's an article from foxsports.com from August. Potential MLB expansion, the case for 9 cities in 3 countries.
Oh, it was Mexico City on there or some shit, I think.
Charlotte, Mexico City, Montreal, Nashville, Oakland, Portland, Sacramento, Salt Lake City, and San Antonio. All right.
San Antonio, no. Sacramento, please no.
Charlotte, I think, would be good. Mexico City, I just can't see it happening for a lot of reasons.
Football, yeah, but not baseball.
Montreal, I just can't see it happening. Nashville, I think, would be fine. Oakland, how could you justify that right now? If the A's
No,
couldn't come to an agreement to stay there, how are you going to put a new team
no.
there?
They shouldn't even be mentioned.
Portland, I can definitely understand. Sacramento, I don't really think is would Sacramento fall into the same problems with San Jose, the way the Giants claim territorial rights over it, and so they would never let the A's move there and everything? I don't know. Salt Lake City again, I just don't see. San Antonio, I'd be fine with, but I don't know if baseball would really work in San Antonio. I'm not sure. I know there's a pretty high Hispanic population there,
How
but
many how many more baseball teams do we need in the state of Texas?
well, that's it too. Do you really need a three? That's why I wouldn't. They don't have Orlando on here, but I saw Orlando mentioned. But it's like, dude, you got enough problems with baseball in Miami and Tampa Bay. You don't need to add Orlando in there too.
No, you don't.
So
And there's room in North Carolina. There's room in by the Hurricane Stadium, and there's room over in Charlotte to have a baseball
yeah,
team.
and in terms of just like the geography, Charlotte, Nashville, Portland make sense for a lot of different reasons based on the geography. Salt Lake City, I think, would be a little bit of a not completely though, because obviously there's no team that close to Colorado. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, in Montreal again, I just don't know. I guess I'd love for a team to be in Montreal, but it just something tells me it wouldn't work again. So
They something will get fucked up.
well, I mean, you'd have to make sure
I gotta watch the net. They have a I think is it on Netflix? About the
you
Expos.
you'd have to
There's a
make
documentary
sure
on it.
you'd have to make sure if you were going to put a team in Montreal that you'd have a really good stadium ready. But you can't have the second coming of Jerry Park or Olympic Stadium for crying out loud. So yeah, Olympic Stadium may have been one of the worst stadiums ever. So
The fans loved it.
I can't believe they built it for the Olympics and then said, well, yeah, we'll be able to have the baseball team play here because obviously the Expos already existed. Um, when they built Olympic Stadium. But I can't. I really don't know what they were thinking when they built that stadium. Said, oh, this would be a great place to have the baseball team play then, because everybody said it was like playing on fucking concrete.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and
I feel
people
bad.
always say that's why Andre Dawson's knees went.
Wouldn't be surprised, probably. 100%.
But so this is what I was also getting at. Then I've seen some really, really good realignment um
I'm seeing some crazy ones,
ideas.
but I've seen some good ones too.
Yeah, I've seen some shit ones though too. Like I've seen ones where people take the concept of radical realignment and say, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, just I bypass erotic ones. They're dumb. You need to make them realistic in geography,
Well, the thing
regionally good.
the thing that everybody thinks, and I can understand why, is if they add two teams, say you have 32 teams, you're going to go to eight four-team divisions. Okay,
I'm fine with that.
I'm actually personally okay with the idea of not having divisions anymore. To be blatantly honest, that's just me.
Hmm. I mean, it's a concept, yeah.
I mean, you still have the two leagues, of course, but get rid of the divisions and have the teams have to play roughly the same schedule. And that way you can't really complain about, oh, this team won the weaker division and got in ahead of this team, but that's why they added the wild cards. But anyway,
Yeah.
with like eight, four-team divisions, like I saw so many people who wanted to have a division of the Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, and Phillies. And it's like, fuck you.
I mean,
But you're putting four of the biggest market cities in the same division. You're going to let them battle it out,
yeah.
and it's like, I think that's probably why people were probably wanting to do it. Because then I'm like, then you're just going to create a big disparity there somehow.
Hmm.
Who knows? So I think my sister might be home and I think I hear the dog whining again. Oh boy. Um, yeah,
I'll
I
be
lost my train
fine.
of thought. Anyway, I've seen some really great realignment ideas with eight four-team divisions, and I've seen some really shitty ones. Like What you know, what I think some people don't understand is that there's some rivalries you can't break up. Like I've seen so many of those bad realignment ideas where they had like the Cubs and the Cardinals in different divisions, and I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
No, I've seen one where it was the Cardinals, Cubs, White Sox, and Milwaukee.
That
They
that
threw
one
those
would
four.
sound okay. Like it's been several weeks since I saw some of these, so I don't remember exactly. Um,
Hold on
there
a
was
second.
one that was really wild.
All right, back at it.
So yeah, so I don't know. Again, it's all premature until they figure out who they would be giving it to. Obviously, um, yeah, who knows?
I mean,
Before baseball can even think about expanding, they got to resolve their labor dispute. So which is coming.
oh yeah,
It's definitely coming.
that's going to be the biggest one. Where was? God damn it! Where's the one I saw? Sorry, guys. I'm looking for the one that I saw that I looked at was pretty decent. Yeah, because the last time we had two new teams was 1998.
Yeah, it's been a while. Okay, so here's one that was posted on the MLB on Fox Facebook page back in August. Okay.
Hmm.
The American League Northeast, the Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, and Phillies. The American League Mid Atlantic, the Nationals, Orioles, Pirates, and Guardians. The American League Great Lakes, the Blue Jays, Tigers, Brewers, and Twins.
Okay.
And the American League Southeast, the Braves, Rays, Marlins, and an expansion team in Charlotte.
Okay.
The National League Midwest, the Reds, Cardinals, White Sox, and Cubs. The National League Central, Astros, Rangers, Royals, and Rockies. National League Southwest, Diamondbacks, Padres, Angels, and Dodgers. And the National League Northwest, the A's, Giants, Mariners, and an expansion team in Portland. Now, the biggest problem with that is that you have taken away all meaning from the terms American League and National League because the American League is doesn't go further west than Minnesota, and the National League barely goes east of the Mississippi.
I mean, at that point, I don't think it's relevant anymore. To be
Well, if you were
honest.
going to do it this way, there's no meaning in the terms American League and National League. You can still do an American League and National League and still have both leagues stretch the whole country, is what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
would be dismissive of.
It would be interesting. And I think you would need some type of realignment when you bring two teams in anyway as well.
Yeah, you're going to need some kind of realignment because right now you have it nice and even with 6 5 team divisions, of course, but um, is this the same thing? Yeah, it is.
It's kind of one of the things too, it's like because of
I'm just
how,
saying, like, you don't need to get radical just for the sake of getting radical.
yeah. And plus the playoffs have expanded too. So you can kind of do something where you have the American League has two divisions. You know what I mean? Just two and split them up and put them into two. And then, you know, it's already expanded and figure out the top two teams plus whatever other teams are the wild card, whatever, whatever, whatever. So there's, there's possibilities to still use the same playoff format with new division realignments.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another article from Bleacher Report, which is also dated August, which is because I guess Manfred said, I think if we
Oh, Bleacher
expand,
Report's the one I think I saw. Yeah,
because they're basing it off a quote that Manfred said, where he said, I think if we expand, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I
which it
think
does.
it'd save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for entities like ESPN because you'd be playing out of the East and out of the West or whatever. So their little plan here, and they're basically abandoning the overall concepts of American League and National League too. It sounds like I just can't see it happening. Baseball is still a sport that's steeped in so much tradition. I don't think you can get that radical to just say there's no more American League and National League. But that's me. Try not to be an old fuddy duddy. I promise.
I get it.
And by using the term fuddy duddy, I pretty much am. Anyway, Western Conference Division A, Pacific Northwest, Mariners, Giants, A's, and I think they're basically saying a team in Portland. Western Conference Division B, the Southwest, Dodgers, Angels, Pirates, Padres, Diamondbacks. This might be the same thing. Western Conference Division C, Tornado Alley, Rockies, Royals, Rangers, Astros. Well, do you get a lot of tornadoes in Colorado?
No, but the rest of them do. That's funny.
Yeah, I guess he gets still in Texas, but Western Conference Division D, the West Midwest, Cubs, White Sox, Cardinals, and Twins. Okay, so this is slightly different than the last one I was reading.
That's fine.
Yeah. Eastern Conference Division A, the East Midwest, Brewers, Tigers, Reds, Guardians.
Okay.
Eastern Conference Division B, the Southeast, Braves, Marlins, Rays, and an expansion team in Nashville,
Okay.
which would work the same as an expansion team in Charlotte in terms of just a geographic realignment, more or less.
Right. They align perfectly.
Eastern Conference Division C, Mid-Atlantic, Orioles, Pirates, Blue Jays, Nationals. And
Okay.
then Eastern Conference Division D, the Northeast, Red Sox, Yankees, Mets, Phillies. So they did start to differ a little bit when you got to the Midwest and Mid-Atlantic teams, I guess, as it were, because they had the Twins in with the Cardinals, Cubs, and White Sox rather than the Reds. And then they had the Reds in with the Brewers, Guardians, and Tigers. And then they had the Blue Jays in with the Nationals, Orioles, and Pirates, which I think the other one had the Guardians in with the Nationals, Orioles, and Pirates.
I think so, yeah.
So, I mean, if you were to if you look at those divisions as they're currently constructed in terms of the way that the strength of the teams right now, the Southeast division is obviously shit because the Braves are kind of right now. Same with the Rays, the Marlins. The Marlins are a little hard to figure too. They played a lot better this year than they had,
Yeah,
but it's like you just never know what the long-term future of that team is. And then you got an expansion team. The Brewers, Guardians, Reds, Tigers is actually kind of solid based upon the way they were this year. The Cardinals, Cubs, Twins, White Sox. Well, based upon this year, the Cubs would be feasting.
yeah, they would be. The White Sox would be at the bottom.
The Rockies, Royals, Astros, Rangers. That's not bad. I mean, the Rockies are shit, obviously. And the Rangers fell back, and the Royals did a little bit too. And the Astros, I think, are on the decline now. But
yeah,
Dodgers, Angels, Padres, Diamondbacks. I mean, the Angels can't get out of their own fucking way. The
they'd be
Dodgers are
last in
strong.
that division.
The Padres are fine. The Diamondbacks are okay. Mariners, Giants, A's, and an expansion team that's not very strong, obviously. Blue Jays, Nationals, Orioles, Pirates. I mean, based on this year, the Blue Jays would be romping, you know. And Mets, Phillies, Red Sox, Yankees. That would basically be, like Mad Max. Hell on Earth. Talking scorched earth, motherfucker. So that one
Yes.
would be interesting. But of course, again, obviously, baseball isn't quite as fickle, I guess you could say, as football, where
Yeah,
you never, things can change so quickly from year to year. You don't see a lot of that in baseball because it's harder to team build in baseball, you know.
it is.
So I don't know. We'll see. It's always fun to speculate about this shit, but like I said, baseball's got to figure out their labor problem first before I think they can even
Yeah,
consider expanding. So there's no, I mean, because the labor contract is up after next year, there's obviously no expansion coming for at least 3 years, and probably longer than that because you got to have a stadium in place and everything. So
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I mean,
I don't think you'll see expansion before we get to the 2030s. Let's just say that.
it might be after that, but something could be where a team is awarded one before then. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, you could have an announcement.
Yeah, yeah.
You could say like, okay, we're going to expand, and here's where the teams are going. Like Okay, just as an example, um, the Rays franchise was approved on March 9th, 1995, and they started playing in 1998, so 3 years. The
Yeah.
Diamondbacks, I would imagine, were the same. Um, yeah, March 9th, 1995. So, what about the other teams from the 90s?
Colorado and
Florida. Well, they
yeah,
were Florida then.
Florida Marlins.
I mean, both those teams, of course, started playing in 1993. Was actually until June 10th, 1991, that the Marlins franchise was awarded. The Wikipedia page has some interesting comments about the fights to get the first team in Florida. It was a foregone conclusion one of them would be placed in Florida. The only question was whether Wayne Huizenga would beat out competing groups from Orlando and Tampa Bay. Orlando waged a very spirited campaign bolstered by its family-oriented tourism industry. Tampa Bay already had a baseball park, the Florida Suncoast Dome in St. Petersburg, completed in 1990. That, of course, is what we now know and love as Tropicana Field. However, on June 10th, 1991, the National League awarded a Miami-based franchise to Huizenga. Kind of interesting then that June of 1991 they awarded a franchise that began play essentially a year and a half later.
They were in the process of the stadium, I think, at that time.
Yeah. Well, they just started playing at Joe Robbie
Oh yeah, that's right.
or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
was called at the time.
The
When
Dolphins.
when did they award the franchise to the Rockies? Also in 1991. So that's interesting. So they gave the Marlin or they gave well the then Devil Rays and the Diamondbacks a little bit longer from like, okay, you won the franchise. They had a longer time between like franchise awarding date and first major league game than the Rockies and the Marlins had.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, a little bit.
A little dynamic there.
And of course, the,
Yeah.
the, the most fun thing, obviously, with awarding any new franchises is what kind of nicknames are they going to come up with? And the
Oh
reason I'm
yeah.
saying this, the reason I'm saying this is because what are the most recent teams to have gotten new nicknames? We've got three in hockey, which was two new franchises and a relocated franchise. And then we had a renamed franchise in the NFL. Those are like the only ones that have happened over the last several years, really. To me, the three NHL teams, Golden Knights, pretty good. Pretty good. They got a very cool logo.
Yeah,
The Kraken, A plus 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 plus.
I like it.
I love everything about the uniqueness of their uniform design, the uniqueness of their logo, and the name itself. It was original, everything. So I think that was great. And I got to be honest, there was the controversy about like what they wanted to rename the Coyotes playing in Utah now. And like they had picked out a name, but then they realized that they couldn't actually get the trademark to that name and everything, so they reshuffled and they came up with the Mammoth, not the Mammoths, the Mammoth. I think that's a cool name. I think their logo is cool, so I think
Yeah,
they nailed that, right? So I think the hockey teams all did well.
yeah, they did.
And then in the NFL, the former Redskins became
The
the
Commanders.
Commanders. I think we could have done better on that one.
Uh,
I
yeah,
thought Defenders would have been a better name than Commanders, but I don't know. I guess Command sounds more forceful than Defend, but I don't know.
well, I mean, plus the Defenders had that trademark for the US the UFL team.
Oh, they did? Okay, I guess I
Yes.
heard that.
The DC, well, they're called the DC Defenders. So yeah,
Oh, that's why it's the
yeah.
DC Defenders. So I wasn't thinking in the same terms. My
Hmm.
bad.
Yeah,
Whereas,
Commanders,
whereas
commanding
my
military.
childhood, or as my childhood hero, R Truth would say, my bad, dog.
I think the one in baseball that really irks me the most is Anaheim.
Um, In what sense? That they changed to the Los Angeles Angels?
Well, wh- their team names has been so weird, like the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, like whatever that whole slew
Well,
of bullshit was.
okay. So I'll give you the quick history on that one.
The Rays to the Devil Rays to the Rays, whatever. That didn't really bother me.
I mean, supposedly they wanted to get rid of the word devil. They thought it was bad luck, or people complained about it. It's like
It's a
it was
Devil Ray. It's an
Devil
animal.
Ray.
Like, come on, you're in Florida. Where the fuck?
So they changed from the name of a cool looking fish to what comes out of the
Rays.
sun.
Yeah, so
Now,
fucking dumb.
but so the Angels were known as the Los Angeles Angels from 1961 when they started until 1964.
It wasn't like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Well, okay. So they were the Los Angeles Angels from 1961 and 1964. In 1965, they became the California Angels, and they were the California Angels until 1996. Then
Yep.
in 1997, they changed to the Anaheim Angels, and that had as much to do with the fact that Disney owned the franchise then. And even though the movie had come out like 3 years before that, they were tying it in more to Angels in the Outfield, and
Right.
also the fact that Disneyland is in Anaheim, not Los Angeles. So
Yep.
that was a whole Disney thing. But then Disney pretty quickly sold the team because they realized they couldn't figure out how the fuck to run a baseball team, even though they won the World Series while they were the Anaheim Angels. In 2005, they changed to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which they were until 2015. And then in 2016, they changed back to just simply the Los Angeles Angels.
So odd.
They've never moved. They've played in almost the same stadium the entire time. They played in, I don't think it's still there anymore, what was Wrigley Field, old Wrigley Field in LA.
Yep.
Um, and then they moved into I don't even know what the hell they call it now, Anaheim Stadium, Angel Stadium.
Whatever they call it these days. I don't fucking know.
That's another one of those stadiums that's gone under like five different names because of corporate sponsorship and shit. It was Anaheim Stadium from 1966 to 1997. It was then Edison International Field of Anaheim from 1998 to 2003. And I think it went, I think it's been Angel Stadium since 2004, I guess. I'm trying to figure this out and I can't quite, it's a little hard on the Wikipedia page here, but, and yeah, prior to that, the Angels played their inaugural season at Wrigley Field, Los Angeles, and now demolished park in South Los Angeles. Though you can watch you can see some old movies where you can see it.
Hmm.
And then at Chavez Ravine Stadium, aka Dodger Stadium, from 62 to 65. Okay, so I thought they played at Wrigley Field longer. But yeah. All right. Yeah, the Angels are weird. Like I said, the Angels are a franchise to be mocked now because Artie Moreno is a cheapskate. He's doing a shit job running his team. They've completely wasted Mike Trout's career. Mike Trout is just not the same player he once was because of the injuries and everything. And I think it's already getting to the point now where people are forgetting just how fantastic a player he was when he was winning the MVP or
Yeah.
finishing first or second in the MVP every damn year.
Yeah.
But did you see what happened with them with when they hired a manager?
No.
So they hired former catcher Kurt Suzuki, who's never been a manager, to be the manager. And they
Hmm.
gave him a 1 year contract.
I didn't see they gave him a 1 year. I didn't see that.
Now, there's been speculation from people that the reason they gave him a 1 year contract is twofold. One, the general manager's contract is up after next year. And so they may be willing to just blow it all up again after a year. But a lot of people think it's also because, well, they're expecting the lockout for the 2027 season. So why bother having a manager under contract until you know that there's going to be a season?
That's true.
But that also doesn't start it. Supposedly they really wanted Albert Pujols to be the manager.
I said I
They
heard they
interviewed
I heard they
Pujols.
interviewed him.
They interviewed Pujols. Pujols has apparently also interviewed with the Orioles, who have hired somebody else in the Padres, who have not yet made a decision. So those couple teams that still have open managerial spots now the World Series is over. I kind of would expect to see those spots get filled within a week or so. So Pujols could end up being the manager of the Padres, we'll see. But Pujols was under this personal services contract with the Angels from the time that he retired as a player. Like this was something he had signed as part of like when he signed with the Angels 15 years ago. It was like a 10-year, $10 million personal services contract. So he's being
Ooh,
paid by the Angels $1 million a year. Well, apparently Artie didn't want to pay him that money and a full manager's salary on top of it. He expected that $1 million that he's already paying Pujols to be rolled into part of his managerial salary. And Pujols, to his credit and his right, said,
no,
fuck yourself. So it's like they can't even do basic shit right because he's a fucking cheapskate.
that's so horrible.
It is.
That
It's
team's
like
that team's doomed. Trout needs to get the fuck out
whether
of
you
there.
call the market Los Angeles or Anaheim, it's still a pretty big market. This is a team that should be one of the best run franchises in the league, and it's been one of the worst franchises for a long time now, and it's because of him.
If I was Pujols, I know he wanted had his loyalty to that team, but I'd ask the fuck out of there. Just go
Yeah,
DH somewhere, bro. Go
yeah.
DH and
So
end your career somewhere else. Like you're not getting it. You're not getting.
you
You're
mean
not.
Trout?
Yeah, Trout. That's what I meant. I like Trout.
I was gonna say you said Pujols, so I was just
Yeah. I'm sorry. Trout's not going to get anything more out of Anaheim. He's
no, he's
really
not.
not.
And here's the thing, Trout played 130 games, but he was mostly a DH, and he only hit 232, 359, 439 with 26 home runs.
Well, so 20
Um,
over 20 homers.
yeah, I mean, but it's like he hasn't. That was the most games played in a season for him since 2019.
But I think he needs to stay into DH, but he just needs to go somewhere else. Like he needs to get out of that area. He needs a new scenery for a new team that's going to give him the confidence to be the player he was. Like he's not getting that where he's at right now, and he's not going to.
The problem is nobody's going to trade for his contract now. That's just he's owed $37 million a year for the next 5 years.
I
So
know, I know. That's the crazy part. But
it's and like I said, he's going to be well, he is 34 now. So it's like his best days are behind him in multiple ways. But
still, it sucks.
no, it sucks too because again, for 8 years there, from 2012 to 2019, he won three MVPs, finished second 4 times, and fourth once, and he was worth 71.7 WAR or 9 WAR per season. It's like, and people can bitch about WAR and everything. I said, but it is one of the better objective measures you have to compare across eras and give context and everything. It's like you're not going to find many 9 season runs throughout baseball history where somebody was that valuable. You're talking about like your Ruths and Gehrigs and Mays and players like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
All right then.
he hit 40 home. It was 3 years ago. He hit 40 home runs in only 119 games. But in 2020, he actually played 53 games, which was pretty much a full season for that season because that was the 60 game season, of course.
Yeah,
But he only played 36 games in 2021, and he only played 111 games combined in 2023 and 2024. So,
injuries. Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I I love and again, and this is the biggest indictment of that franchise. He played in one postseason series, and the Angels got swept. And
yeah.
unfortunately he was very bad in that series, going 1 for 12 with a solo home run and 3 walks. But when you get swept by the Kansas City Royals, it really, you know, they lost 3-2 in 11 innings, 4-1 in 11 innings, and 8-3. So it's like even if Trout had played up to his standards, I don't think that would have swung that series. You know what I mean?
No, not maybe a game, but nothing more.
Yeah. So
All right then. I think we're good to go for today. We had some good talks, baseball and whatnot.
yeah, unfortunately, our third wheel wasn't here because he had family obligations again, and
Yeah.
he chose not to jump on with us because he
Slacker.
just doesn't like us enough, I guess.
I don't know. It is how it is these days.
I hung my head.
But as always, when we post the stuff, click like, subscribe. We always appreciate that stuff. Please leave comments.
Yes, and
And
we'll try to actually make it 2 weeks in a row next week.
yeah, yeah, we're gonna get there. But as of always, I hope you guys finished with us.